Hello everyone and welcome to One Word. I'm your host Kyle Fisher. By now you've seen this enough that you know how it works, so let's get to the hat. And today's one word is hope. Now hope's a very important word in personal development. Without hope, nothing ever really gets started. But question of the day, is hope everything that you need? Or do you need more than just hope? So you know by now what we're doing. Webby, help us out. Tell us what hope means. Webby says that hope is to want something to happen or be true and think that it could happen or be true. Let me do that one more time. Hope. To want something to happen or be true and think that it could happen or be true. Now, as I said earlier, hope is kind of the idea and thought process that gets us started. But for story time, we're going to talk about hope and how hope without some other things really doesn't get you anywhere. Now, this week's story time is going to be about a Netflix series that I just finished watching called Last Chance U. Now, it's about Eastern Mississippi Community College. I think it's East Mississippi Community College. They were the two-time defending community college national champions in football and had won the title 3 out of 4 years. But this really isn't a sports story at all. Last Chance U is about elite athletes who come to this place for several reasons. Most of them couldn't make it in Division I, either academically or they had some legal trouble or they weren't getting enough playing time. These are elite athletes. To talk about how rare it is to get a D1 football scholarship, the statistics are about 1 out of 100 high school players get a D1 scholarship. So these are the top 1% of high schoolers that for whatever reason had to go to this community college, which is in the middle of nowhere in eastern Mississippi. It's one of the poorest places in the country. Nobody wants to be there because everybody wants to be somewhere else. So it's a story about how this group of people come together and try to make a team and make a successful team, but also focus on their individual needs. And as you'll see throughout the documentary, and it's 6 parts and it's about 5.5 hours long, you'll see that a ton of them just have no interest in school. And you can see that because really the star is not the football players, although there are some of them that are highlighted very prominently, and they have just these awesome backstories. This is a lot like Friday Night Lights. If you've seen Friday Night Lights, you know, most people, it's a show that has football in it. But this, just like Friday Night Lights, has a lot more things to do. So the real star is the athletic academic advisor, Brittany Wagner, and she is really the epitome of hope. She's the one that pushes these kids, makes sure they go to class. She texts them all the time, talks with their teachers, and really gets the ball rolling. But when I watched the documentary, what I really saw was that while all these kids have hope, if you don't have hope with action, you're pointless. You're meaningless. You're not going to get anywhere. And you will see as you watch this documentary, and again, I highly recommend it. It was so good that Netflix has greenlit season 2. They did it just like 20 minutes ago, I saw. So, you know, big time stuff here. So really what the point of the entire documentary is how certain kids were able to take action, and a lot of times it was through the persistence of certain coaches, and really for most of them the academic advisor, because most of them had the talent to play sports. They didn't have the academics. So it's a wonderful series. There's so many touching stories about where these kids come from. There's a lot of tragedy, a lot of bad language, so, you know, earmuffs for the little kids, probably not something that I would recommend for 14 and under. There is some violence. There is a couple scenes, and it just shows how wild community college football is, where a referee punches the head coach, the coach punches the referee, and then there is a brawl in episode 5 and the beginning of episode 6, and so it is so bad that they canceled the season for this particular team. So going back to hope, what this really shows is that you have to have action for hope to be able to work. And so that's going to lead us to our saying of the day. Hope without action is like Thriller without Michael Jackson. Or, because I've never said Michael Jackson. That's the first time I've said it, because there's a million Michael Jacksons, but there was only one. So, one more time. Hope without action is like Thriller without or Michael Jackson. Well, that's our show for today. And just remember, with all of you and a little bit of me, we're changing how the world performs. We'll see you next time on One Word.